What's going on, Princeton Lax fans? Welcome back to episode 2 of Sticks and Stripes. I'm Sean Cameron.
And I'm your co-host, Calkins. And today we have 2 fantastic guests for you guys today. First is a sophomore on the men's lacrosse team, Cooper Mueller, and next is a freshman on the women's lacrosse team, Maggie Bacigalupo.
Welcome.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having us, guys.
Excited to be here.
Nice. All right. We're going to recap our weekend this past week. So, Layton, tell us about what happened. You had 2 games. You played Penn and Cornell on your senior day.
So tough loss versus Penn on Wednesday. Traveled down to Philly and played a late night game at 8 p.m. on ESPNU, which is really exciting. But just couldn't really come out the win. You know, every team in the Ivy League this year, as I said last week, is really competitive. And I think that's a key theme that we've seen. There are a lot of upsets this year, and that was just another upset that occurred, unfortunately. Penn's always a really big game for us, and it's just been a consistent rivalry for women's lacrosse. So it's always really exciting to play in. Obviously, unfortunately, we really come out on the other side, but I think it was cool to just kind of come back from the deficit we were in. It was 8-3 at the beginning of the third, and we clawed back to make it 12-12 with 8 minutes left in the fourth, which there have been very few times in my career where we've come back from like large deficits to really make it a tie game. Couldn't really come out with it at the end. Penn scored the last 3 goals, so definitely a formative experience for the team, but just overall kind of just had our eyes on the next game. We knew Brown was going to be a really big game for the Ivy League, and we ended up coming out with the win and won at least a share of the Ivy League title, which is really exciting. I personally, even as a junior, have never won anything yet at this school, so I think it was exciting to actually get to hold a trophy and wear a hat for the first time.
Congratulations.
But, definitely Brown was also a tough opponent, really tough game, but I think just coming off the loss on Wednesday, we knew we just really had to focus up because our goals were still in sight. You know, we still could win at least a share of the Ivy League, even after losing to Penn. And we did just that, and we have a really big game coming up with Dartmouth this weekend to kind of close out the regular season. And if we do beat Dartmouth, then we win the Ivy League outright and get to host the Ivy League tournament, which both are really exciting. I've never hosted the Ivy League tournament, so just really hoping to come out with a dub this weekend.
Great, yeah. And I apologize. I said Cornell, not Brown. But that's awesome. I know the Penn goalie had was 80 or 78% at halftime, so obviously his shots weren't falling, but bounce back with a big win, so congrats.
Yeah, thank you. And so talk to me about your big win versus Penn on Saturday. You guys were down.
Yep, so we played Penn. It was a big game. It's always a big rivalry game where, you know, it's competitive, physical. They're they're a strong team. But anyways, we're down 7-4 at halftime and came back to win 8-12, so it was a big game. I know there's a fun fact that Jerry Price put on Twitter that this was the first time we've been down 3 goals at halftime and came back to win since 2016.
That's really cool.
It was good to bounce back from a deficit, which is great. But yeah, we're heading into the week playing Yale on Saturday in our senior day, so it's our last guaranteed game at home. It's sad for me. It's been a long time, but it's flown by.
What are we do without you, Camo?
I know. So play Yale. It's a big game. And then the field is set for the Ivy League tournament. There's Cornell, who's most likely going to host us, Harvard, and Yale. So it's now up to seeding now this weekend. So couldn't be more excited.
Yeah, it's really cool. Okay, should we get into the icebreaker?
Yeah. Well,
All right, let's do it.
Okay. Coop and Maggie, what are your guys' weirdest superstitions before games?
So I, as we know, have a weird diet. And I have, since high school, kind of perfected my amount of caffeine and my exact eating habits, where before every game I'll drink a Propel at about 2 hours before game time, and I'll go and sit in the bleachers and eat the first half of my 10-inch sandwich that I'll go get from Wawa, my ham and cheese. Then at an hour 15, I'll drink a Red Bull. And before the game, and then 45 minutes before the game, I drink about half of my C4 energy drink, and then at halftime, I'll drink the next half and eat the other half of my sandwich. So that's kind of my generic game day thing, but it's
generic?
A little weird. It's just my game day go-tos, yeah.
Perfect. So you're eating. How about on away trips? If there's no Wawa,
I'll get Wawa before we go.
And
there's always Wawa. Yeah.
All right. So even when you went to Duke.
When we went to Duke UNC, I did have to supplement a little bit there, but I was able to find some difference. Luckily, our hotel was right next to a McDonald's, so sometimes I would kind of sneak away and grab a little food over there. But yeah,
all right, it's a nice superstition. Definitely weird, but it's working.
It works.
Batch, how about you?
Also, kind of piggybacking off of that, mine's not as complicated as that, but I will not eat an apple within 3 days of a game.
What?
I have this super weird thing with apples that when I was playing in a like youth tournament when I was younger. I had an apple before a game, and I felt awful. My stomach felt terrible, and I think it was just nerves, and it was not the apple. But I will not eat an apple. It makes my stomach feel terrible, like even just looking at them. But funny enough, my bus partner Addison, who's also a freshman, eats like 4 apples before a game, and I have a hard time watching it in the bus because it just sets my stomach off terribly.
That's
You guys are the perfect pair. You're averaging 2 apples pregame.
Exactly.
That's
How
funny.
about you?
Mine's the same. I listen to slow country music before the game.
That's what gets you hyped up.
It gets me hyped up. But, like, it's more I just like slowly think about the game and like vision everything. So yeah, how about you?
I have to sleep in the same pajamas the night before every single game, and I've done this since my freshman year. It is my dad's 1992 national championship shirt. For those that don't know,
I've seen that.
Father went here. His name is Ed Calkins. He graduated in 1992. Was Coach Tierney's first national championship and first graduating class. So definitely trying to follow in his footsteps here. But I wear his national championship shirt to bed the night before game. And then these rainbow elephant print pajama shorts I've had since 4th grade. And I've worn the shorts before every single game, I think, of my life, at least like from like 8th grade onward. I don't know how they're still intact, but the shirt was like a recent thing coming to college because he gave it to me right before I came here.
That's funny. That's a good transition to our next next segment. So both Cooper and Maggie's parents went to Princeton. Coop's dad played basketball. He's one of the all-time players here. And every stat, rebounds, assists, blocks, points, shooting percentage. I think he finished his career at 60%, which is insane. And then Coop's sister also played here, graduated last year, played lacrosse. And then Maggie's dad, Scott, is one of the all-time great goalie here. Leads the program in saves per game, right? Or
no, just career saves.
Career saves.
732 career saves over his career, a record that has still yet to be broken. He was the 3-time National Goalkeeper of the Year, 2-time NCAA Tournament Most Outstanding Player, and the National Player of the Year his senior year, which I think to this day he is still the only goalie to win National Player of the Year. Someone can fact check me on that, but at least to my knowledge. And he also was inducted to the Hall of Fame in 2010. So really exciting to have you both here today, just to talk about your parents' experiences, how it's kind of related here, just because both your parents were legends in their respective sports, which I think is really cool. And then you guys get to kind of keep the theme going, ending up here and kind of like continuing their legacy.
Yeah.
But on that note, I think we should phone a friend to also ask about a pregame.
I think so too.
Yeah. So I am going to call up Mr. Batch himself and ask him what his weirdest superstition was prior to games and his time here. So 1991 to 1994.
Hopefully he picks up.
Yeah, seriously.
He might be doing important work things.
I told him we were going to call, but...
Hello, Mr. Batch. How are you?
I'm great, Lane. How are you?
I am great, thank you. I am here with your daughter, and you are currently on Sticks and Stripes.
Oh, fantastic.
So, we have one question for you. What was your weirdest superstition going into any of your collegiate games?
Oh, jeez. Weirdest superstition. I don't know if it's so much weird because maybe lots of people do it, but I definitely wore like the same pair of shorts underneath my sweats, the same pair of socks. Like I didn't change anything for every game. So as a matter of fact, some of the stuff I used to wear was from high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so like the shorts I wore under my sweats were St. Paul's shorts that I wore. So like by the time I was a senior, you were talking about like threadbare type stuff that was still going on the, I don't know if you guys still do it, but we used to put them on big hooks for them to get cleaned. And literally like stuff I had was in tatters. But I definitely wore all of that stuff every game. I don't know if that's the weirdest thing ever. But I certainly would do all of that, as I got into every game.
No, that's very fair. Do you still have any of that stuff, or did it dissolve over time?
I think I would be hard-pressed, Lane, to find any of the stuff that I had. I mean, we're talking 30 years ago.
Okay.
That needs to go on the Wall of Fame. If we can get that, that'll go on the Wall of Fame.
I don't do that stuff anymore.
Gotcha.
Might be in a box in the
Okay, perfect. We'll have to look for it. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good luck, everybody.
Thank you. We'll see you on Saturday.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
Awesome.
Go.
We'll get Scott Bacigalupo's shorts up in the wall.
St. Paul's high school shorts hanging on our common room wall.
Perfect.
He would also wear the sweats that he was talking about in every single game. There's not a game he didn't wear sweats. So Memorial Day weekend in May in the national championship,
80-something degrees. sweats.
100 on the turf, and he's dripping. Like some of the photos we found, disgusting, but he would not take off his sweats for a game.
I mean,
so.
I guess it worked. It did work.
We
We gotta start doing that, Lane.
I know.
we were just watching clips of your dad in goal. Our teammate Tucker Wade, sophomore, Coop's best friend. His dad Ryan Wade, UNC player, stinging top right on your dad, and he just didn't even react. It was such a good shot, but it was funny. So hopefully we can roll the clip.
Well, but one of the very few shots that went in his career.
Yeah, very few.
But- Okay, so I think just kind of transitioning from that, how would you guys say that, like Princeton has changed since your parents have been here, at least like from anecdotal experiences from them, and kind of like how your experiences are different from theirs?
Yeah, I think something kind of special about Princeton is it seems from talking to my dad that not too much has changed from his experience, and I think that that's something that's pretty cool, that like a lot of different schools change over time and transform, but it seems with a lot of my experiences with alums as well, like talking about the eating clubs or the dining halls and kind of the buildings that you're having your classes in, it seems that a lot of the structure is the same, and it's pretty cool. Even sometimes you're in a class in McCosh and it's really an old classroom and you're on the tiny little wooden thing trying to write your final essay, but that can be frustrating, but I think it's pretty cool experience to be able to have that.
Yeah, all of my classes are in McCosh, which is like, I think that building's been around since way before
Forever.
your dad. Yeah, so
Very long
it is
time.
cool. Was your dad in an eating club?
He was in Dial, which now Cannon.
Cannon.
Dial,
Okay.
Yes.
Maggie, how about
Very
your
cool.
dad?
Mine was in cap and gown.
Cap and gown, nice. It's definitely shifted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now a lot of athletes are in Cannon and Cottage.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah, but I think it used to be Cap and TI.
yeah,
and then
Cap,
Dial.
TI,
Yeah.
Dial.
Yeah, Dial.
Batch, how about you?
I think going off Cooper's point, like certainly a ton of the traditions are the same, and that makes me feel super connected to my dad because now we get to like share stories, and I'm
Yeah.
like, you know what, like that just happened to me too, and I think that's so awesome. But I think what's super funny is that like a ton of like the random buildings on campus have changed. So like we'll walk around and he'll be like, that was never here. Like when did that come? Especially because he lived in Butler and they tore it all down and rebuilt it. And he's like, this isn't the same. Like this is not the Butler I lived in. Or they played on a grass field, which is what we now know as Finney Campbell,
Yeah.
which we
Oh,
kind
really?
of hate playing on. But they played on grass there, and that was like their main stadium. So he always tells me that I should be really lucky that we get to play in the 52 stadium.
I think we have
It's
one of the
beautiful.
best stadiums. In the
Absolutely.
country. It fills up every game.
Yeah.
The video board's amazing. The turf is like, it's nice to
Best
play on.
turf
It's
I've
also
ever played on.
soft. Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
play on some games when we were in UNC on the grass, it was like hard as a rock. If you dropped a ball, it
Exactly.
bounced to the moon, and like your shins were just killing
Yeah,
afterwards.
like
So.
Penn's Field this Wednesday. We all
Yeah,
looked at
Penn
that
was
game and we
hard,
were like,
yeah.
oh
Brutal.
my god. But I think 52 is cool because playing in football stadiums can be really cool sometimes, just because like the stands are so big and it just seems like it's surrounding you. But then when you look up into the stands are like kind of empty. Like our game versus Rutgers, kind of like it's the stadium's not getting filled up. Whereas I feel like 52 has kind of the perfect scale in terms of the amount of fans that are going to show up. So you kind of like look up in the stands and you see like a sea of black and orange, which I think is really special.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It is. It is awesome. One thing I wish was there was a camera on the other side so you could see the whole. When you're watching our games on TV, it looks like there's no one there, and then they
I
pan
know.
the camera and it's packed. So
Exactly.
nice.
Okay. How would you say your guys' parents have like inspired you to go to here since being here as well? Because I know you guys obviously chose the school for a reason when you were getting recruited.
Yeah.
But
Did you face any pressure as well?
yeah.
Yeah, I think when I was going through my process, my sister and my dad kind of stayed out of the whole thing.
Nice.
They really didn't want to like pressure me to go somewhere. I think they kind of thought I would end up at some other places. And when I was going through as well, I almost wanted to kind of do my own thing at first and said like I won't go where my dad and sister went. I'll go separately. And then I came on the visit and I was about to commit mid-visit in my final meeting with the coaches, and Coach Mads was saying like, some guys, they want to commit on the visit, but we tell them not to. I was like, all right, don't commit right now. Don't commit. and I called him the next morning. I was like, all right, I'm coming here finally. But and I think my dad and my sister were really happy for me and like super excited, and I think some of them kind of saw it eventually saw it coming as they saw my reaction, but I just loved it so much.
Yeah. Princeton recruits itself. When they take you through the tour, starting at like the Robert Stadium all the way up to Nassau Hall, it's just like it's really cool. It's a cool
Exactly.
place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How about you, Batch?
I think also for me, I was looking at a few different places and thought I wanted to do something a little bit different. But I guess since I was a little girl, I knew that Princeton was my dream. And then I came here on my visit and like absolutely knew that this was my place. Just meeting with the girls and seeing the team culture, it was just like you couldn't say no. And that was something actually my grandfather always said to me, especially when my dad was being recruited and then I was being recruited. He was like, you have to go to a school, like if you're going to play lacrosse in college, you have to go to the best school that you can.
Yeah.
And you have to marry the two, like have a great lacrosse program and have great academics. And like Princeton is that place. And he would always say to me, how can you say no to a place like this?
Yeah. I know one thing Princeton has is education through athletics. They have it everywhere. Even right there, there's a sign. Education through athletics, but it is like the perfect balance and it speaks for itself. #1 school in the country. Plus, we're both top 5 right now in the latest poll. I know women's lax. You guys are number 5. We're 2. So keep it rolling.
Keep it going. Yeah. Do you guys have any funny stories from your parents' time here that you'd like to share, or that you can share?
That can be aired on.
Yeah, I think there's a lot from my dad who played for Coach Carrill, who's a legendary coach here. Names everywhere throughout the basketball gym, and just kind of hearing the old-timey basketball stories where Coach Carrill would smoke a cigar while they're practicing and the ash is going all over the court. If you stand in one place for too long, there'd be a little pile of ash there, and he's yelling his head off and just kind of ripping into guys. But just hearing the story that I'm like, your coaches were smoking cigars during practice, it just makes them sound like ancient, but definitely something that was really funny.
That is
so
funny.
And Coop, so something that a lot of people might not know is that Coop is actually a practice player for the men's basketball team, which
He got him a game and a point.
a game and a point.
Yep.
All respect to him, but I think it's hard enough to be a 1-sport athlete at the school, but Coop somehow manages to be a 2-sport athlete. So would you say your dad kind of like inspired that shift at all? Because you weren't a practice player your freshman year. That kind of started this year. So was that inspired by your dad at all, or did you just happen to still be good enough at basketball that you're like, I might as well try it?
I think I really love basketball. I've always had a love for basketball. And after freshman year, being able to join the lacrosse team was amazing. And I was like, I mean, if this is fun, how would 2 be? And just kind of talking with their coaches who I'd met throughout my dad. So that was definitely a great help kind of through him. But I wouldn't say it was really pressured by him necessarily. But right when I said that, I'm definitely still interested in playing basketball. I love basketball. I miss it. He was super helpful and jumped right on it and was able to kind of help facilitate it a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, joining the basketball team as well and being able to practice for them and be kind of the scout guy and try to run through some plays and stuff has been something that's been amazing throughout this whole year.
Awesome.
And we're really close with the basketball team. As everyone knows, we had the very exciting March Madness run my freshman year. Coop wasn't here yet, but really great group of guys. As a lot of people might know, the athletics program is like super close here. So like all the teams are kind of like really interconnected. So it's just kind of really special to get to experience both sides of that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Batch's dad and my father both played under the legendary Coach Tierney, who was a coach here for many years and won, do you know how many national championships?
A ton.
A lot. I don't know.
A lot. I want to say 6, but I could be wrong. Yeah. But one of like the winningest coaches in lacrosse history and just an absolute legend and really kind of made Princeton lacrosse what it is today. So I don't know if you have any like specific Coach T stories. I know my dad has like given a fair share of them, but
Coach T stories. I mean, my dad speaks about Bill Tierney in like the highest regard and thinks he's the most amazing person ever. And I've been able to meet him and he's awesome. But I think the funniest one was they had a scrimmage down in Baltimore. So it was late night and Tierney was out on the field with a bunch of coaches talking and all the kids were on the bus and they wanted to go back to the hotel. They were tired and they all started to chant like, we want to go home, Coach T, like, let's go. Like, they were just repeating this chant. The bus was shaking.
Was it, hey, Coach, let's go, we want to go home?
Yep, it was that one. I was trying to remember, but I couldn't remember the words. And Coach T got on the bus, was furious. My dad was like, his smoke was blowing out of his ears. And they got back to the hotel. And in their cleats and in all their attire, Tierney made them run on the pavement of the parking lot sprints for a long time after their game in their cleats on pavement. not to give Ange any ideas, that's our
Ange,
agility
please don't listen to this.
coach. And while they were doing that, he started chanting something along the lines of like, "You're not the like 42nd Street crew." I believe that was a Broadway play. I might be mistaken on that. But the next week they showed up with shooting shirts that they had made that had the chant that Tierney was yelling at them as they were running on the pavement.
That's
So I think
so
that's
funny.
a great
It's
one. Yeah,
intense.
that's one of my favorite.
Yeah, that's why they win, though.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no playing around.
No
It's all
messing around.
serious.
Yeah, exactly. A story I always like to tell, and I think is really representative, especially like my time here and also like Batch's, is my dad's class was Coach T's first recruiting class here at Princeton. And they had like a team meeting their freshman year, and he told the entire team to leave, and he told my father's class to stay, which was the class of 1992. And he sits the entire freshman class down in this room and says, "You will win a national championship by the time you are seniors." They had gone 2-13 the year before. So these kids are all staring at this coach who hadn't coached at Princeton before, was brand new, and who was now going to somehow resurrect this losing program. And like, he was psychotic because, I mean, if you had told me we were 2-13 and then we were going to win the national championship next year, I'd be like, "You're
Tough to believe. Yeah.
insane." But I think that's just a testament to how legendary of a coach he was.
How many
And
years later did they win after that?
They won my dad's senior year. So
Senior
he
year,
told
wow.
them, by the time you were seniors, you will win a national championship, and they won their first national championship their senior year.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
It is. Coop, this is change of subject here, but I want to ask you a question. So every freshman year, or every beginning of the year, the freshman parents or moms give a talk and a fun fact about their child to the whole team and all the parents. And so Coop's mom gave a fun fact about their last name. So their last name is Mueller. It's Mueller.
Yep.
The whole family calls it Miller. Cody, on the call for all of our games, calls it Miller, but you call yourself Mueller. Which one is it? Give us a story. Is it Cooper Mueller,
yeah.
Cooper Miller?
It's a tough topic. Definitely a debate within the family. For me, it started. My whole life, I had said Miller.
Yeah.
Growing up in Radnor, I'd always said Miller my whole life. And then my sophomore year of high school, I moved to Park City for a year, and kids just started calling me Mueller because no one really knew the correct pronunciation, and I wasn't going to be the guy to. It's actually Miller, so I wasn't going to correct them. And I was like, all right, this is way easier because my whole life I'd been correcting the people and had to explain it every time. And I was like, wow, this is easy. So then I was like, all right, I'm just going to just start going by Mueller because it's way simpler. Mm-hmm. My grandpa goes by Mueller. Some of my uncles go by Mueller or Mueller now. That's gotten really blurry as well. But my sister, the funny joke then, my family is, my sister came here, my sister Ellie Miller, a great lacrosse player, and this is her brother, Cooper Mueller. But I think, I've just kind of learned that whatever you want to, however you want to pronounce it, that's for you.
When you introduce yourself, like in class, are you Cooper Mueller? Miller?
In Princeton, I'm probably saying Cooper Mueller. If I'm at home in Radnor, I'm probably introducing myself as Cooper Miller.
That's
somewhat of a regional thing.
That is funny. It sounds like I've read it as Mueller my whole career.
Yeah.
Like the first time I heard about this was my mom told me. She goes, "Did you know that?" I'm like, "No, I thought it was Mueller." She goes, "Yeah, it's actually Miller."
Yeah, it's really confusing.
Yeah, that is funny.
And speaking of Ellie, how was it like playing with her here? I know you guys overlapped for 1 year, which is really special. There are a lot of siblings on like a lot of the programs and on like both of the teams here, but what was it like just kind of like having her as a senior here when you were a freshman?
Yeah, it was awesome being super close with her. I think we really got close. This is a topic in our family group chat today. We started getting close when I was about 10, I think. So grew up kind of butting heads a little bit, and then as I started to get older, like we really got close and made a decision to come here and was able to come and visit her in high school a few times. And then as I came on campus, just being able to ask her questions about classes and through sports and just hanging out with her on the weekends was awesome. And we both play guitar and really like music, so we would hang out every once in a while and play together and just spend a bunch of time before she's out grinding away at work right now. So being able to kind of hang out with her for a year and just help me almost get situated a little bit and do kind of a new environment was amazing. It was awesome.
Yeah,
That's super cool.
This is a funny story. So last year in the spring, we had cottage formals at one of the eating clubs. There was a great band there. Everyone was kind of dancing. Like, the dance floor was kind of empty. Band was really good. And then all of a sudden, Cooper and his sister go up there and sing Zach Bryan. Was it Something in the Orange?
We did Revival and then Something in the Orange, yeah.
Yeah, Revival and Something in the Orange. Just those two. Both on the guitar, both singing. And as soon as they get up there, literally the whole, like, everyone in attendance packs into the dance floor and starts singing. And the lead singer says to me, he goes, am I bad or is this kid just really good? But I was like, we got to find the clip of it because I'm sure we have it. But it was like the most legendary moment ever between two siblings and just like crushing it.
Yeah, my entire team was sitting there with their phones up as if like Mick Jagger just walked through. Cooper and Ellie, our two teammates that we see every day. But the second they picked up guitars and got on the mics, all of us like, oh my god!
Coops played for us a couple of times. We have a little Christmas party.
Yep.
Also, I hear you're starting a band now.
Yeah, we got a little group coming together, hoping for Cottage Formals again this weekend. Hoping to do a few songs.
Who's in the band?
Leighton Mueller, who's a sophomore in Cottage, and then two freshmen, Walker and Sebastian. So
nice. Yeah.
Good crew we got going together.
Very nice.
Yeah, hopefully get that started.
Do you have any special talents, Maggie?
Well,
hot dog eating.
Yep. We have a talent show annually run by our team right when we get back to school from winter break. And all the freshmen are told that we must come with a talent. And I'm not very musically inclined. I don't find that I have other talents. And I was in the cafeteria like 20 minutes before we were all eating dinner before we went up to the apartments. And I saw a bunch of hot dogs and said, this guy has to be my talent. And I felt the spirit of Joey Chestnut come into me. He's a hot dog eating winner contest, something along those lines. And I ate like 5 hot dogs in a minute in front of our entire team. And I won the talent show.
That's a good talent.
Really impressive.
It's a very good talent.
Okay. I think just before we wrap things up, is there any advice that your parents have given to you, specifically in relation to sports or Princeton, that would you say has been like really impactful in your experience?
Definitely somewhat impactful has been through my dad, a bit of a tactical course selection.
Yeah.
Through my time here, my mom and my sister have been big advocates for somewhat taking the harder classes. My sister has been grinding the hard classes. So she's got this great list of classes that she really enjoyed and were thorough and you're able to learn a lot. And my dad is a little more on the side of he took Italian cinema twice here because he learned that you could do that. There's a slight difference. So being able to balance some of my sister's great classes as well as my dad kind of finding some classes that you can enjoy and may take a little bit of your less time and you're able to get a good grade in has definitely been able to help with the academic and the kind of the sports side.
You're also an econ major though, right?
Yes.
That's a very difficult major.
Yeah.
So that's a good balance.
And what has been your version of Italian cinema in terms of the classes you've taken?
Well, I took a class that I really enjoyed, which was the children's literature class.
Yes.
That one was awesome. Just trying to find some just definitely the classes with a little bit of an easier rep that I'm trying to find. But also taking some kind of things that are a little bit more interesting. I'm taking a music class next fall, which should be fun, and just kind of
you should get
take a bunch of
I'll
stuff.
give you an A.
Thanks, Getmo.
Yeah, actually, on a similar note, my dad took Slovakian literature almost to the point that he had a minor in it because the class was so incredible for him, and the teacher just loved the athletes. But the biggest piece of advice my dad has given me is definitely prioritizing my time to get what you need to done. And that means sometimes you have to sacrifice what you want to do for what you have to do. Mm-hmm. And something he'd always either call me in the morning from work before school or he'd ask me at dinner that night is how did you make yourself better today, or how are you going to make yourself better today? So that's something I always hold with me and ask myself every morning and try to accomplish getting better today.
That's very cool.
Time management here is it's important.
Really important.
Especially for us.
Gosh.
We're in the gym at 7 a.m. every morning.
Yep.
By the time we're out eating breakfast, it's 9, and then practice is at 4. So in the locker room at 2:30, and then getting out for dinner time. So we lose a lot of hours in our day. And it's the best hours ever. I love it, but it's you really have to work hard. And
as one of my best friends, Amelia Hughes, always says, there are never enough hours in the day to do what needs to get done.
Seriously. Yeah.
So, but also, as my other best friend, Abby Roberts, says, the work always gets done.
Yep.
So,
exactly.
Yeah, it always gets done. Whether or not it's
it doesn't have to be pretty.
Doesn't have to be good,
has to
doesn't
get
have
done.
to be pretty. Just has to get done. Batch, I have one more question for you. Have you ever shot on your dad?
I have.
How'd it go?
I've shot on him only a few times in my life. I'd say 3-4 is the times he's suited up for me to shoot on him, and I've never scored a goal on him.
Really?
So, never.
8 meter?
No,
Position?
it was just kind of in the backyard, shooting from where, and he just he still has it, I guess, because
What's
I've
his
never been able
weakness?
to.
Yeah, I actually don't know. She haven't scored.
Yeah.
Tucker Wade's dad.
Tucker Wade's
Tucker Wade's
dad.
dad.
Top right.
Mr. Wade.
Lucky high.
Yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
that's funny.
Coop, in a 3-point contest, who would win, you or your dad?
Right now, I'm beating my dad in a 3-point contest.
He's looking at the
I
camera
say-
while he
I
says
say
that. He's
no
pointing at
way.
the camera.
All time, I think that he's probably got me around 100 to 2.
Okay.
But 3-point contests, I think I have a little bit more of a shot at. 1-on-1, I don't think I've ever beat my dad 1-on-1. He's
Really?
I mean, he's
Even now?
he's a big
6'7",
dude.
6'7".
Yeah, he's tall.
6'7".
60% shooting.
Yeah, he's gonna shoot the right shots.
He has 1,500 points here at Princeton.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, he's
Fourth
he's a
all
good
time,
scorer.
and you're.
Well, we might be the number one father-son duo.
That is true.
Yeah.
We have a combined 1550, and I've
How many
contributed
points
4
do
of
you have in your
those.
You have 2.
4.
You have 4.
You
Yeah,
have 4
so you have
points? Yeah, 1550.
1,550 points.
So,
So
pretty
combined?
excited about that. Yeah.
That's good.
We're doing great in combined points. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
You also have Ivy League Player of the Year combined once.
Yeah.
And
Yep,
you
we
have
gotta
3
combine.
first team all Ivies.
We have
Yeah,
3 first team all Ivy
first team
combined.
all Ivies.
Yeah, so we're doing great as a father-son duo right now.
Yeah,
Did you see
exactly.
the stat for your lacrosse? It was on Twitter. It's another Jerry Price fun fact. So
Oh, he's the best at this.
you and Jake Stevens are the 2 short sticks in Princeton history to have 4 goals, 10 caused turnovers, 25 ground balls that are not a FOGO. So
Wow.
yeah, you're putting
That's
up
cool.
numbers
I
this
didn't,
year.
yeah, I didn't see it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Coop
you,
scored
Jerry
this
Price, for the
weekend, which
stat.
is great for a defender. He plays defensive midi, so
Mm-hmm.
typically on the other side of the ball, but late minute.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ran by the double team and put it in the net.
Yeah, easiest goalie to shoot on is no goalie. So that's strategy this
They
year.
pulled their goalies. So.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And Coop, you've been having a breakout season this year, but I must say your celebrations after goals. If I was a defender and I was shooting, I would more so be like, thank God the ball went in the cage, but you put the ball in the net and you turn around and it's like you've been practicing this your entire life. So I didn't get to see your most recent celly this weekend because we were a little preoccupied at our game, but what did you hit after that goal?
After this one, so the Penn alumni section had been kind of on the other sideline, and there had been a little bit of a back and forth going on the whole
Yeah.
game, and there had been some words exchanges. I was clearing the ball that time, so when I scored, I just kind of looked back at him. I didn't do anything, you know.
Okay.
We stayed classy. We just came away with the good win, and then it was just kind of all mayhem, and I was getting really excited, kind of running around the sideline, banging my head into people.
Because what was the game that you scored the goal and you turned and you...
Oh, that was the Rutgers game.
The Rutgers.
first-
that was
your
great.
first career goal.
That was
That was fun.
probably not the
Yeah,
not
first
the best side.
career
That one
goal,
won't
yeah.
be coming back out.
Yeah, we can't really do that one again. You faked it your next goal.
Yeah.
You faked the shooting range and then pulled up. What was it after that? Just a big fist pump. Or,
I think so. Yeah, it wasn't that one? That one was one of those empty netters. Kind of wasn't really sure what to
Yeah.
do, so just kind of stood out there waiting for my friends to come.
do you like tell your friends like, hey, if I score, I'm gonna do this?
So before the Rutgers game, I had 0 career goals.
Yeah.
And we had talked about it just kind of as a joke that day of what was going to happen. And then it happened and I kind of blacked out. And then I was like, I definitely should not have done that. So, definitely will be kind of taming the celebrations
Yeah.
from here on out. Kind of more of an act like you've been there moment. But yeah, I was just, I mean, the energy after the first one, I was just really excited. So.
I must say, I loved it. We all ate
Yeah,
that.
no, it got the crowd going.
Yeah.
Sold out Rutgers crowd. Everyone just jumps out of their seat.
That was, yeah,
Maggie, what's
fun
your
for
goal
sure.
song?
My goal song is "Let's Get Loud" by J-Lo.
Can you sing it?
Don't make her sing.
Let's get loud. Let's get loud.
I've heard that plenty of
That's a good
times this
song.
year.
Yeah, Abby Roberts told me about it, and I was
Yeah,
like,
it's
all right,
good.
it's a great
Yeah.
one.
It's a good goal
That's
song.
a good goal song. What's yours again?
Mine's "Bring 'Em Out" by T.I. We
Oh,
discussed
that's a
this
good one.
last time.
Yeah, yeah.
So short-term
And you're
memory
back
came
playing.
I am back playing. So for those who don't know, my foot is fractured, unfortunately. But fortunately enough, I can still play on it. So
Very tough.
Yeah.
changing roles a little bit this year. I used to be a two-way midi for the team, but now I'm feeling more of an attacking role just because
Nice.
running up and down the field on a broken foot is a little hard, but running halfway down the field on a broken foot's a little bit easier. So definitely grateful for the coaches for just kind of like figuring out a way to kind of keep it conducive and to kind of like give me a spot on the field. But
Awesome.
it's
It's
been fun.
unbelievable.
Yeah, I thought
Lane hits the boot off the field.
Yeah.
You'd think that like she
I
just
know. I
got
saw you in
surgery.
the boot. I'm like, didn't you just play 2 days ago?
Yeah, and
It's
then
not much grittier than taking off a boot to put a cleat on.
Yeah.
So-
yeah. For those who don't know, we're facing a lot of injuries this year, which is really unfortunate. We have 5 ACLs, which actually, before games, I write the numbers of everyone who's torn their ACLs on our team before we play, just because we have a lot of girls out right now, and like even all the starters are kind of dealing with either something chronic or something they've just like just like lingering injuries. But we're all kind of fighting through it. I think it's really easy to kind of like see the scale of injuries we've had and to kind of write it off and to be like, okay, like next year, like this year isn't our year just due to luck. But I think we're kind of taking the opposite mindset where it's like play for the people that can't.
Yeah.
And I think it's like really, really inspiring for all of us to kind of see these girls on the sideline who can't play for the rest of the year, but they're just as bought in as the rest of us. And you kind of like turn around after you score goals and they're jumping up and down, like going crazy. They're showing up every single day at practice. Like the energy's still there. And I think kind of like having that group of people to play for is even more inspiring than like not having that group of people to play for. And I think like I attribute like a large portion of our success this year to the fact that they are so bought in and to the fact that like just because of them existing and them buying in, that we're buying in for them. So that's really inspiring. It's part of the reason why I go from boot to cleat every Saturday.
Yeah.
But
that's good.
fun.
We had the same message for our game last week. Jackson Kane has had surgery, so did Jamison Moore, and like they're the energy of the team and like would do anything to play. And so that was our message, is like play for them and like have the same energy. So it's good.
Exactly.
It's a good message.
Okay, well, thank you guys for tuning in to episode 2 of Sticks and Stripes. Again, I'm Lane Calkins.
Yeah, and I'm Sean Cameron, and I just want to say thank you, and thanks, Cooper. Thanks, Maggie. It was great having you. Heading into this weekend, hopefully you can tune into our game. We'll be playing at noon on ESPNU on Saturday versus Yale in our senior game. So
And we'll be playing noon versus Dartmouth. I'm not sure what platform it'll be on.
it'll be on
but
ESPN Plus.
It'll be streamable. So, and if you are in the Princeton area, show up to the men's senior day.
Yep.
It'll be a very sad
Support
day
us.
for Sean Cameron, but
Last guaranteed game on 52, so it's a big one.
thank you all, and
Thank
you guys
you, yeah.
again.
Yeah, thanks for
Yeah,
having
thank you
us.
guys.
Thank you.